And we're both on agreement on that one.
And we're both white old men. Oh, I've heard that one lately.
Privileged.
Oh, you're just about ruling over women's things.
Yeah. Mansplaining. Do you do a lot of mansplaining?
What? Mansplaining?
You've never heard
Explaining
of mansplaining?
why you're a man.
No. So when... I don't know. I don't know if I should get into this, but...
Ooh. Ooh.
I've been accused of mansplaining.
Ooh.
So when you...
Okay, I've never heard of it.
When you try and explain something to a woman, they think that they know, it's like, oh, why are you mansplaining it to me? Even though it's just like, I think
because you're a woman
I'm
a man.
I just think we're talking and I'm trying to explain myself.
Yeah.
Rather than...
Not necessarily the gender.
This mansplaining, I'm like, okay, no worries. But yes, that's a new word that's come out, mansplain.
Yeah, look, I'm a social worker, qualified here at JCU in Townsville, and I can remember sitting in a room. I was the only man. I was at a meeting, and during the day at work, and I was involved with the Domestic Violence Resource Service, which is a great service. Hi to everyone there from DV service here in Townsville, and also all other clubs and that, like Sisters on Steel, the motorcycle club that my wife's involved in. That's all about, again, a club against domestic violence. Yeah. So I'm sitting here in this meeting with, there would have been about 15 women and me, and we're all sitting there. And some of these people were, I'm not sure what all their total backgrounds were. Some were social workers, some were counsellors, some were DV workers, some were, like all this sort of stuff. But they were all pretty much feminists. Here I was, I'm Daniel in the lion's den. All right, that's what it felt like. I just sat there, nice and quiet, and listened, and which I tell you what, you can learn a lot. You can learn a lot by just listening and watching people and the way they talk and behave. The ones that are full of. And the ones that are worth listening to more, and so that's what I did. But the thing I wanted to point out about the way things are sometimes with is that it didn't. We're actually talking about when there's violence in relationships or in stuff where there's sex involved and stuff. And I guarantee that every single scenario that you could come up with was the man's fault. So if the woman was blind drunk and the man was blind drunk, both were blind drunk, and they go home or go to someone's place or someone's place. Yeah, we'll just rock up at someone's place. But they go to one of their places.
A place.
And they have sex, and then the woman wakes up or they wake up in the morning. The woman goes, "Well, I didn't want to have sex. How come you made me have sex?" And the guy goes, "What do you mean? You were all over me." You know what I mean? And and in that scenario was the man's fault. Then it was the other way. Then it was if the woman was drunk and the man was sober, it was the man's fault. Then if the man was drunk and the woman was sober, it was the man's fault. It didn't matter what the scenario. There was no responsibility at all
on the woman
for the woman to take responsibility for the thing. It was the man's fault. The man's fault. The man's fault. I just sat there going, "Okay, I'm not going to say anything."
Because it would have been your fault.
But that was sad. It was sad to hear that because we've got to take responsibility. If you go out and get yourself blind, I've done it. I've done it in my past. I've gone out and got myself pretty wasted and done some stupid things. That's my fault.
Yeah. If you put yourself into a situation...
It doesn't matter what the stupid thing was. The fact is I allowed myself to get that drunk.
That's
you know what I mean? That's the problem. I allowed myself to get to a point where I had no control, and then I went and done stupid things, and in the morning you go, "Oh, crap."
I know this is probably... The analogy I'm going to give is if you went diving, and let's say you went diving with people with diving equipment, and you went, "Well, I don't think I need diving equipment," and you started like free diving, and you've never really free dived before, and you get into trouble, is that the fault of the people around you? Is that the fault?
Well, it depends if they're male.
I mean, and I don't mean to. I'm not even talking about women. I'm talking about society.
Yeah, no.
I'm talking about guys. Like, there's a real culture of blame. It's no one's fault. You know, it's. I can go out and party.
Or we need to find blame. Find something to blame.
Whose fault is it? It's not mine.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't take those drugs.
It's the pub's fault for giving me too much alcohol.
And then when you get into trouble, you know, and I'm not saying this in a way, but, you know, run into the wrong guy who mistreats you, or a guy who drives home and has an accident, or, you know, all these things are a result of the choices that you make.
Oh, you're going deep, man.
Well,
you're expecting people to take full responsibility for their actions.
Exactly.
Oh, gee. Can we change the subject?
Yes, we can.
That's just deep.
Moving on.
Oh, wouldn't it be? No, seriously, though, just quickly to finish off, wouldn't it be a wonderful world if everybody did take responsibility for their actions? I'm in a bit of a thing at the moment. I have this thing at the moment about getting CDs, I bought it. Marie and I were down in Brisbane last weekend, and beautiful, just beautiful. Big cities are great to visit.
They are
They're great to visit. You know, we just loved it.
Did you drive down?
4 nights. No, we flew.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, the beauty about Brisbane is like an hour and a half away.
Oh, yeah.
And if you get the flights right, you know, you pick your times and get the cheap flights. It's actually not too bad.
Yeah, it's reasonable.
You're shoved in like sardines.
Yeah,
they tell you got to wear this stupid mask that doesn't even freaking work. But
did you go Jetstar?
Yeah. I had to wear one. Yeah. One day I'll tell you about the flight home. They almost come this far away from asking me to get off the plane.
Oh, true.
Yeah. I was just spoken to so badly by this lady
for not having your mask on.
Oh, it wasn't that. All right, I'm going to have to tell you.
Tell me the story before we move into this.
When we left from Townsville, Marie has an exemption.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't, and I should have, but I don't. Mm-hmm. I've just never gone and gotten one. So anyway, I grabbed one of the masks that they have all sealed up in the plastic thing. So I walked in. I've got this in my hand, and the attendant says to Marie, "Do you have a mask?" And she said, "No, I have an exemption." And she went, "Oh, no worries." And off you go. So Marie goes and we're only just there, like 3 seats back.
Yep.
And then this is at Townsville, going to Brisbane. So then this person looks at me and says, "Do you have an exemption as well?" And I said, "No, I don't." "Do you have a mask?" And I went, "Yes, I have one right here." And I said, I'll go sit with my wife and I'll put it on. And not a problem. Off I went. They went, "Yes, no worries, sir." Next one. Coming from Brisbane back to Townsville,
yep,
we get exactly the same scenario. Says to Marie, this lady says to Marie, "Do you have an exemption? Or do you have a mask?" "No." "Do you have an exemption?" "Yes." "Okay, no worries." And we're only the second seat back, just there. Mm-hmm. Okay. She looks at me, says, "Do you have an exemption?" I said, "No." She said, "Do you have your mask?" Now, this is where I may have put my foot in it a little bit, because I said, "Yes, I have the stupid mask."
Well, I'm going to say yes.
Now, I didn't say she was stupid.
The sarcasm.
I didn't say she was stupid. I didn't say anything was stupid but the mask.
Yeah, but...
And then she said, "Well, you're going to have to put it on, sir." And I said, "Yes, I will go and sit in my seat and I will put it on." "No, sir, you cannot go past this point until you put your mask on." I said, "Are you freaking serious?" I don't know if I said freaking, but I said, "Are you serious?" And she said, "You'll have to stand over here, sir, and put your mask on." And I went, "Oh," and I was like,
and she says, the plane? Like, is this like as you're getting in the plane?
We're in the plane. And I went, and I said something like, "Oh, just," and she said, yes, sir, I know it's frustrating." And I turned around and looked, I said, "This is beyond frustrating." And I'm tearing the thing off as delicately as I could. And straight away, and I'm going, "This is bloody ridiculous, these useless things," and I'm putting it on.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Well, do you want to be on this flight?" And I looked and I said, "Far out." I said, "I'm putting the thing on, and straight away you're threatening me." It was going well. It was going real well. I put it on. I said, I'm allowed to say something. I said, "I'm allowed to not like this." And she said, "Yes." And it was just... Anyway.
Yeah, well, I flew...
Somehow we got talking about that. Going down to Brisbane.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because I flew recently too, and I did take some masks with me, and I really did not want to wear it. And I was gonna, when they asked me, "Do you have an exemption?" I was gonna say yes, I do, because they can't ask you to provide the evidence.
But is it true, Kendon? Do you have an exemption?
I have my own exemption.
Yes.
Yeah.
But have you been given an exemption
I have an
by a
exception.
health authority?
I have an exception.
I can't.
That's what I should say.
This is silly.
So that's what we should say. Next time they go, "Do you have an exception?" Yes, I do have an exception. Then we're not lying.
That's deception.
Then we're not lying. It's not our fault that they misheard us. So yes, I do have an exception. Anyway,
Mate.
Just to
go on.
make it a funny story too, is that I didn't have my mask on when I went into the thing. I actually put it on when I was sort of waiting for the plane upstairs. You know, in Townsville, you go upstairs to wait for the plane. But as you're going through the security, you got the new fandangled security system there in our, where you got to hold your hands out and go like this. Anyway, I had no
useless.
Yeah, I had no belts on. I had nothing. I had some jeans on. Anyway, I get there and the guy.
It still came up registered.
Yeah, it goes. Sir, can you just step over here, please?
Yeah.
Do you? And they show you the little picture of your scan, and they go,
and the little spots.
You've got something here, and you've got something there.
Yeah.
Do you have a belt on? I went, no, I don't have a belt on. He goes, oh, so would you mind if I checked you? And I went, okay. So I bent over like this, and he went,
oh,
no.
Kendon. Look, that's like, do you have gloves on? Did you really bend over?
Seriously? Yeah. And next time I'm going to bend over and go, be gentle.
Oh, I think you go. Well, you know why I know.
But I thought he'd laugh. He was more shocked.
He was really,
He was like, oh.
I had the same experience. That's why I know. I'm sort of like saying what you're saying about the spots on the thing. The same thing happened to me. Standing there with my hand out, and it came back up with his. And he said, "Oh, you have to go over here, sir." And I went over to this guy, and he says, and I said, "What's going on?" I said, "I've got." He said, "Oh, it's shown up that you've got 3 spots." And I said, "Well, I've got nothing." He said, "Sir, do you mind if I?" He was very polite.
Yeah.
Like he's just being nice. I'm sure he doesn't want to touch anybody. And he said, "Do you mind if I give you a pat down?" I said, "What the hell are you going to touch me? You're going to touch me?" And he goes, "Oh, we can go into another area." I said, "Oh, just freaking do it. Just do it." So he goes, pat. Okay, off you go. I'm going. I'm just like, it was a real good start. That was in Townsville. That was in Townsville. That was
the one.
Oh,
I did the Brisbane one. Didn't come up like that. But next time, do the bend over thing. Oh, it's hilarious.
Well, when I was in Brisbane coming home, I did that, and I thought, oh, here we go. Nothing.
No. They've got their scanner obviously dialed down a little
Honestly, I just went, are these things for real?
And they're different. I've talked to some of the airport people. They're different in every airport. They dial them up for a different thing.